Hello, hello, hello. It's Friday, everybody. And that means it is, of course, time for Find My Past from Home. And we are so excited, as always, to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for being a part of our wonderful and amazing community. We really love you guys. And honestly, we talk about you all the time. Uh, so it's Friday, and we are excited to know what you are up to this week. At Find My Past, we've of course had another busy week. It's been an amazing start to the year, and we are just still really just hopping on discoveries and fantastic new adventures in family history. I used the word giddy the other day, and I think that still remains true. We're all still just really delighted and giddy with what we've been finding over the course of the last couple of days, and of course last 2 weeks. So let's see what's going on. My name is Jen Baldwin. I am the North American Content Acquisition Manager for Findmypast, and I am delighted to be with you on this Friday afternoon or morning, or even maybe a Saturday, depending on where you are in the world. So thank you all very much for joining us. Really appreciate seeing everybody here. As per usual, or if you are new to our community, please do pop in the comments. There are a lot of people already saying hello and telling us where they're from. Thank you so much for doing that. But also, we love that discussion that happens in the comments. So as we discuss over the course of the next hour, people will share links and give each other suggestions and helpful little tidbits. So please do join the conversation in the comments, so that you can take advantage of that shared wealth of knowledge. It's one of the things I love the most about this, is that we all get to learn from each other for an hour, and it's so amazing. I've learned a ton from all of you. So thank you all very much, for those of you who are regulars, being with us. So hello to Ellen from Illinois. We've got John up in Canada on the YouTube side. Sally is with us. Thank you so much for being back, Sally. Bright cloudless sky near Oxford. That's good. Andrea's with us. We have Anya, of course, with us. Thank you. Happy Friday. Oh, she wants to know who my Funko Pops are. I'm so glad you asked. You've made my day. Absolutely. So I have, over here behind my shoulder, this is really hard, George Washington, and Aaron Burr. And I gotta move. I'm really bad at that. So characters from the Funko Pops are designed off the Hamilton musical, which I am a huge fan of. And those were Christmas presents from my daughter this year. Actually, everything behind me. So all the Hamilton stuff. The coffee cup is King George, and then I've got these artwork pieces up here too. Those were all from my daughter, and she's amazing, and she knows me really well. And we sing Hamilton in the car when I'm driving her around to her activities at a very high volume. So thanks for asking. And it just disappeared. So I think I'm back. Sorry about that. Wow. Okay. Weird. It looks like it kept going. So I think everything's fine. Okay. Cool. All right. Oh, looks like I did disappear a little bit. So I'm back now. If you guys could let me know if I'm back. Okay. I confirmed I'm back. It looks like. Okay. Good. Thank you very much. That was really bizarre. It just left. Still no sound though. We have Ellie in the comments today. So everybody say hello to Ellie. And she's telling me that I'm back and the sound is good. So I'm just going to keep rolling. Really sorry about that. Okay. So, right. I'm going to go back and start again. Fiona says it's always a great excuse to end work early on a Friday. We are happy to provide that excuse for you, Fiona. Truly, we are. We love being able to do that. Susan's with us from San Francisco. Karen, this sounds amazing. I will join you in a minute. That sounds like a great idea. Tea and carrot cake and ready to go. That sounds like a really good breakfast for me. So that it would be amazing. Janet's with us from Colorado. Paula is in Boston. Rosie's with us. Miko is with us. Thank you, Miko. Joan is with us from, I've never seen anyone chime in from Mexico before. Joan, thank you very much. From Mazatlan. I've been to Mazatlan on vacation. Lovely little spot. That was a long time ago. I wish I could go back to the beach. That would be fun. All right. Yes, I have spoken about Hamilton before. I will continue to speak about him. My coworkers are probably really done with me talking about Hamilton, but I'm going to continue to do it anyway. I'm totally obsessed. I love that show. And the book, too. If you haven't read the autobiography of Alexander Hamilton and you're interested in that period of American or British history, it is a fabulous one. Okay. Let's talk about what's happening at Findmypast this week. I'm still reading through comments. Okay, Matthew wants to know the best song in Hamilton. All of them? We are getting totally off topic today. I love it. I am a particular fan, though, of Guns and Ships. I like anything with Lafayette in it. But also Farmer Refuted has been on my playlist on repeat a lot. And that is a dialogue between Alexander Hamilton and a minister in New York who was a real person. And he's out on the street kind of showing his support for the loyalist side of the conflict. And they have an argument in public, and it's fabulous. Right. Okay. Let's talk about this. I am seeing Ellie with her leftover box of milk tray chocolates. And yeah, I need that as well. She's flashing chocolates at me. Okay. This week on Findmypast, we published more information from the 1921 census. But before we talk about that, let's put up the question of the week so that you know what we're going to be talking about today. So type your answers in the chat. Question of the week: what's been your most exciting genealogy discovery so far in 2022? Obviously, we've talked a lot about the 1921 census of England and Wales, but nothing's off topic, right? As we've already seen today, we can talk about whatever you want. So your most exciting genealogy discovery so far in 2022. Please try to add a QOTW at the start of your response, or an something that tells me, that shows me in the comment that it is a response to the question of the week, so that I can find it in the chat. Please do respond. Please, we would love to know your stories. Today is all about your success stories. Do comment on the question of the week if you get a chance. There's a couple of you saying you've never heard of Hamilton. Yeah, I'm sure it's kind of, a pretty big American craze, right? But if you get the chance, do read the autobiography. I will try not to talk about it anymore for the rest of the hour. Okay, so this week's new records, we published a set of reports, the official reports of the 1921 census of England and Wales. And you guys, this is really, really good material. This is Findmypast is the only place that has the full collection of those reports. That's my understanding. And I'm going to share my screen and share a little bit about why this material is so useful. This is contextual material that helps you understand the time period, the history of the census, the amount of data that they pulled from the census, right? Because, the census is taken for reasons beyond just family history research, believe it or not. They didn't actually take it for us. But they do pull, the government, right, needs this information to operate in that moment in the 1920s. So they pulled an awful lot of data. So I just pulled an example. This is from Cornwall County. And this is just a random page that I picked to show you what it's like. So right here, we've got an administrative chart, right? Let me zoom in a little bit so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see. So it describes the average size of a private family in number of people, and it compares to 1911, right? So you can see that in 1911 in Cornwall, there was 4.03 was the average number of people in a family, but in 1921 it reduces to 3.85, right? You've got the average number of rooms occupied per family and per person broken down. So you can see the discrepancy between 1911 and 1921. Really gives you a great platform, if you will, for kind of digesting the information that you find in the census and actually applying it in terms of genealogical theory and best practices. So there's a lot of data in these materials, just a lot of data. So do dig around in these. And one of the best recommendations I can make would be to just actually go to the collection on Findmypast, get into the county that you're interested, and just sit and read it, right? Just like you would a newspaper or a periodical from the era. Go through kind of page by page and look at how they distributed the data that they pulled from the census and what you can glean from that, because there's going to be information about, statistical information about households. There's going to be occupational information. There's going to be all sorts of stuff in there that will allow you to really process the information you're finding on your household returns in a much more social context type of format, right? If you kind of take a step up from the household and you look at the region as a whole, the county as a whole, and say, what was happening kind of countywide? What was my ancestor experiencing during this period? That information will really help you to kind of digest all of that and apply it to your research. So keep that in mind. So that's what we publish this year, is those official reports. You can access them in the search. You can also just do a browse. So both versions are available in Findmypast. And they are included and actually, let me reset that sentence. Do the browse collection if you want to look kind of just in general sense, or go to the search and actually navigate them by county specifically. So with that, I'm going to scroll through comments again. Give me just a second. So let's see what you guys have going. I'm going to go all the way back up to the top because there's all sorts of stuff going on in the chat, which is great. I love this. William, thank you so much. He says, William's one of our regulars, of course. He says, not joining this week. He's in the car on the way back from what was a sunny Liverpool, but he's answering the question of the week anyway. Discovering that where someone lived was an area where lots of evacuees went to, so may add to solving other mysteries. Just need to find evacuee records to check. So that's fabulous, William. Thank you so much. And of course, as always, thank you for being a part of our conversation today, even though you're not really part of the conversation today, not as active as you usually are. That's pretty fun. We really appreciate that. Miko commented, not for me not to sing any of the songs from Hamilton. I definitely will not. I cannot sing for sure. Another person, Sylvia, just again stepping in to say hello. Thank you, Sylvia. Having a busy afternoon working on the images from the Royal College of Physicians. A bit tedious, but has to be done. I have a lot of that kind of stacked up too. I will admit that I acquire a lot of images from archives, and I am very slow on the processing end. I have a collection from an archive in Michigan that I went to 3 or 4 years ago now, and I still haven't finished transcribing the lot. But there's an awful lot of it. Okay. Carolyn's with us from Victoria, Australia. Thank you for joining us. A couple comments about when I froze. That's fine. And don't forget, thank you, Ellie, for the reminder. Check out our blog on the Findmypast website with links to the new records. So that is great. Thank you very much. Linda's got a good one. This looks good. Question of the week. Found a notorious individual in the papers. Not mine, but for someone whose tree she's working on. That sounds delightful. Okay, so let's go to the question of the week because there's a lot of you guys responding. So this is really, really good. I love it. I love that we're starting off our year as a community with all of these fun discoveries. Okay, so just scrolling back all the way up because there was a couple of them. So Ergo is saying the best find so far for 2022 is which one of the two James Smiths, son of William Smith, born in the same village and same year, is my great grandfather, thanks to DNA matches solving a long time brick wall. Congratulations. That is exceptional. So difficult with those common names, and especially when they're the same village and the same year and everything lines up. I have a couple of those on my tree as well. So that's fabulous. Congratulations. DNA can be so helpful for sorting those people out. Karen found more members of her family on the Scotland Monumental Index. That's fabulous, Karen. Thank you for using that. Paula discovered just yesterday that one of her mother's first cousins worked for the CIA and traveled around the world. Now, that's interesting. My brother actually works for the CIA right now, and occasionally he'll go on a trip and he can't tell us about it. And I find that very intriguing. And of course, I always want to know more, but he's always telling me to sit down and be quiet because that's what big brothers do. So yeah, that's fun. Now, so actually, I have a thought about that. The National Archives in the United States, the National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA, has been publishing a lot more period stuff from some of these agencies. I've seen some files from a number of different agencies that they've scanned and put online. So you might want to take a look at the NARA catalog if you haven't already, Paula. And it may be too recent in your tree to take advantage of those materials because they may still be protected by, for privacy reasons. But it might be interesting to see if you can find some, reports or correspondence or anything back and forth for the agency that he was with. Sally found her mother's birth mother. Wow, she was adopted in the early 50s. When I found her, I actually wept. It was very emotional to see her name there. Yeah, I'm sure it was. I actually have yet to discover an adoption scenario in my own family tree, so I always think about how impactful that must be for the family and the descendants. That's pretty incredible. So thank you for sharing that with us, Sally. Sarah found a missing child baptized with his twin in Scotland. First use of Scotland's people. That's a great way to start with a new tool. That's awesome. There are so many good ones, you guys. This is so good. Absolutely fabulous. Oh, this sounds interesting. What's this, Anya? This is good. Due to my stepmom's influence, I support Liverpool Football Club. This week I found my biological 3 times great-grandfather lived on Tinsley Street in Liverpool. That was demolished not long before I first started researching in 2009. His house would be somewhere under the LFC shop at Anfield. That's really good. That's really good. I like that. Always fun to find that connection with that kind of the modern era, right? So you can go to that spot. You can look at it now. You can experience it. It's always good to go stand in that spot, even if the historical building doesn't exist anymore. That's really good. Okay. Janet, no major breakthroughs or discoveries so far this year, more of a case of confirming facts. See, to me, that's a positive. I would call that a win for sure, because confirming information is always a good head nod that your research is moving in the right direction. So I'm going to go ahead and say that is your best discovery so far yet this year, Janet. I'm sure you will have more, but that is always a good one. Okay, so much to talk about. Let's see. There are a couple of things that we want to make sure that, oh gosh, there's so many comments on question of the week. So I'll go back to this in a minute, but there's a couple of things that we want to remind you guys of, in particular, when it comes to the 1921 Census of England and Wales. Of course, you knew I had to talk about that, right? But there's a couple of pages that we've built that are really, really useful, and we want to make sure that you guys are aware of those. One of those is a page about jobs in 1920s Britain. So please make sure that you're accessing these, and I will ask Ellie, hang on, I'm going to ask her to put the link in the chat for you. Some of these pages are really, really beneficial. They have a lot of content. We took a lot of care and time in writing out these pages in terms of understanding the census in detail. So if you get the chance and you have looked at the census, or you want to look at the census still, and you haven't seen kind of some of those occupational pieces yet, because of course this was the first census to record not just occupation, but employer as well, please take a look at some of those pages on the Findmypast site, right? The search page is great. The advanced search page is great, but read through all that information as well. Read through that content. So the link is shared in the chat now. Thank you very much, Ellie. And please make sure that you take a look at some of those particular pieces of information so that you can kind of understand the context of what you're finding in the census. Lamont wants to know if this is live or pre-recorded. We're live, Lamont. So welcome and thank you for joining us. If you have a question or a comment, feel free to leave it in the chat as you did. And we'd be more than happy to get to you on those and respond to those. Oh, I like this, Kathleen, for the question of the week. Just very simple regarding the judge. We found him. I'm sure that refers to a comment higher up in the chat, but I just love the simplicity of that. We found him. It's all good. Okay, so let me go back through your comments and see. Let's see. There was a question up here that I'm going to try and find again. I want to make sure that I answer that. Going back, trying to find it. Sorry, you guys. I'm scrolling, but I know it's in here somewhere. So while I scroll, I will try to hit a couple more of those question of the week comments. Sue Karen's great discovery so far this year: apprentice court entry for a cheesemonger might knock down my 20-year brick wall. That's fabulous. Thank you very much. That is really good. Karen, congratulations. Rosie says, from the 1921 census, have found alleged daughter of my grandfather still using his surname. So from her location change, have found, I hope, her mother's death registration and sent for the certificate. Fabulous. Only taken 10 years to pin them down. Happens sometimes, right? Sometimes you just have to wait for the right records to be made available to you. But congratulations, Rosie. That sounds intriguing. Definitely a research thread that I would pull at for a very long time. That is very interesting. Beth found all 4 of her grandparents, 7 of her 8 great-grandparents, and 1 set of great-great-grandparents in the 1921 census. Missing the great-grandfather appeared on a passenger list in 1919. That's amazing. So 3 generations in 1 census collection. That's pretty awesome, actually. I mean, given the lifespan that we're talking about, like the average lifespan across historical censuses, that doesn't happen very often, I don't think. So trying to think if I have any experiences like that, but I don't think I do. I don't think I can name a census year where I have 3 generations still alive in the same census. So that's really awesome. Congratulations, Beth. That's really cool. Very, very neat. Okay, so this is a good one. Janet says she found her 2 times great-grandmother on the 1921 census and has been missing since 1881. That's a huge gap. Then found her death in newspaper report of inquest in 1924. So, wow, yeah, that's a big gap from the historical record. And it sparks my interest for sure. I definitely want to know why you can't find her in 1911 and 1891. That is really interesting. So congratulations, Janet. That's really cool. Really, really neat. Okay, this is the question I was looking for and I was trying to answer. Thank you, Judith, for asking this. How do you find these reports and do they cost us? So the official reports of the 1921 census you can find on Findmypast in just by navigating to our search. And if you go to the all record sets, I've just been saying 1921 official and they pop right up. You can also obviously find them through links on our blog or on our email. If you are on our email list, you would have gotten an email today saying these are our records this week. So lots of avenues to get to them, but just go into Findmypast and navigate to your favorite way to get to the record sets on the search. And I can show you if you really need me to, so let me know if that would be helpful. They do not cost. They are not part, just to be very clear, they are not part of the 1921 census transaction individual cost. They are free to access. And thank you, Ellie, for confirming that for me before I answered this question. So they are free. They're not even in the sub, right? You do not even have to have a subscription. They are free. But to access free material on the site, you do need to register on Findmypast. So at least create a free account on Findmypast to get to those materials and those reports. So thank you, Judith, for asking that. That's a really good question, and we're happy to take those questions on our live conversations. Okay, we talked about the football club. All right, this looks like a good one. Karen says, thanks to Findmypast. You're welcome, Karen. I have had a major brick wall broken from the 1921 census. I found my grandfather. Now know where he was born. I found his baptism, his mom, his workhouse record. Oh my gosh, this goes on. Where it seems that his mom went into the workhouse one day, gave birth to him the next day, and left 4 weeks later. I've since been able to go back to my 4 times great-grandparents on my grandma's side after knowing almost nothing at all. Oh my gosh, Karen, that's absolutely incredible. Like, I'm almost tearing up for you. I'm trying not to because I'm live. That is amazing. This is one we are going to share with the entire company, I'll be honest, because that is so, so cool. I was going to comment about the workhouse piece, but now I'm all emotional. Yeah, I really am. That's really awesome. I love that for you. Congratulations, Karen. I will note that, so when we started publishing the workhouse registers from Ireland a few years ago, I actually asked about that because I didn't know very much about workhouse registers at the time. And I learned from my colleague, Brian Donovan, that actually entering a workhouse to deliver a baby and then leaving relatively quickly was actually pretty common. That was a pretty standard practice for people who didn't have another way to safely kind of deliver their child. So really interesting to me that she left 4 weeks later. You said there was an example I was looking at. I've used in a presentation since in a lecture that the baby actually unfortunately passed away within a day of the birth, and the mom left like 3 days later. And as a mother, I can't really imagine doing that. So gosh, look at me. I'm a mess now. So that's incredible, Karen. Congratulations. Thank you so much. All right, so let's keep going. So some other really good stories. Marilyn says that she found that she has a 2 times great aunt that was labeled as deaf and dumb. And of course, that is a historical term that we wouldn't, of course, use now. She and her husband attended the Pennsylvania School for the Deaf together. So that's really interesting. And I know that's Pennsylvania, right? But I was reading with interest. We actually published on our blog, and I'm not sure when it went up, but I was reading it yesterday. There's a whole article that my colleague Stephen wrote about what we can learn about the deaf community in the 1921 census. It's one of the blog posts that I knew was coming, and I was really excited about because that's not a community that I've done much research in. So really interesting, Marilyn. You might want to check out that blog post if that sounds interesting to you, just to get some of that historical background. It might spark some ideas for your own research in Pennsylvania. So congratulations to you, Karen, for Marilyn, I'm sorry, for that. This one sounds interesting because, of course, it talks about the U.S., so I'm always intrigued. Kathleen says that family lore told her that it had been one of her great-granduncles who immigrated to Boston in the late 1880s and became a judge. Then he worked his way up from working at the docks. Well, that would be a cool story to research. I wonder, Kathleen, I don't know that I've seen any from Boston necessarily, but I have seen digitized, what are they called? Oh gosh, alumni books. And I have an example of one from a school in New Jersey around that same time frame-ish, maybe slightly later, maybe around the 1890s, where it talks about the person I was looking for. It said what school he went to, where he went to law school, when he passed the bar, what he was doing now, right? At the time, by the time they published that, he was in Colorado and doing a totally different thing. But it also identified his wife and gave her maiden name. It had all sorts of good information. So Kathleen, maybe look for alumni information and publications to see if you can track down a few more details on your Boston lawyer there. That sounds really interesting. Right. Janine, still no ancestors in England or Wales in 1921. Me either, Janine. But Fridays with Find My Past is a habit now or an addiction. Hello from Denver, not too far from me, actually. So thanks, Janine, for being with us. I love that. And I'm glad it's an addiction. We're slightly addicted to it as well. I don't think, I think now that we've started this, I don't know if we'll ever stop in the near future. Ellie's telling me no. I know Miko feels the same way. So we just keep talking, whether anybody's listening or not. Okay, I know I'm getting behind on question of the week. Okay, here's a good question, though, from Bev. How can I search for someone I think is in the Royal School for the Blind at the time of the 1921 census, as I think the inmates are not in the index, or am I doing it wrong? Well, I'm not going to say that you're doing it wrong, Bev, but I will say that we do have a way for you to search institutions and people who were in those institutions. Yes, they were enumerated. They are absolutely in the index. The best suggestion I can give you is to use the institution search box. Now, if you go to the search page for the 1921 census, there's an advanced search form that you should find. And that has a number of different search fields. Like, it's a really, really long form. So scroll down until you find the institutions list. In that section, you can actually type in the box what you're looking for, or click on the little link to the right-hand side of the search box, and that should pull up a list of institutions. There's also a list of those institutions on the website. Ellie, can you share the link to the institution list? She's on it. Thank you very much, Ellie. So work through that list that we've cultivated from the census, find the appropriate name, the way it was listed in the census for the Royal School for the Blind, and then use that as your search field on the search form for the 1921 census. So the combination of their name and the proper name for the institution should lead you to the list of inmates. I would also suggest that you use the wildcard function a lot. And depending on the name of the person, you may want to just search for the surname alone. That may help kind of broaden up the search a little bit, and then you can narrow down from there. So always remember to keep your search really high level at the start and narrow down step by step by step. And move your search through a funnel process, if you will, to really get the best results. So if you continue to have problems, Bev, just flag it in the chat, let us know, but do use that advanced search box. Try to use the list for the institutions and find the school that you're looking for, and then you can narrow down your search. So hopefully that is helpful for you. Okay. All right. Well, this is a good response. I like this from Elaine. Didn't push back any of my ancestral lines this year so far, but did find lots of great information about many of them that expanded my appreciation of the lives they led. I think that's really crucial. And for any of you who have listened to my broadcast before, I'm a huge fan of social context and social history. I want to understand everything about them, right? I commonly use the phrase, do you know where your ancestors got their shoes? I want to know that kind of detail. So I really appreciate this kind of comment. That for me, it's about the stories, and it's about being able to connect the dots, right? How did they get from being married to suddenly living in a new place to taking switching occupations? I want to know all of that about them. So I really think that's a win, right? That's a good discovery. Okay, let's see. I am way behind on comments. You guys have so much to say today. That's so good. All right, let's pop this one up. Matthew says, a potential major brick wall smashed here. Good job, Matthew. I've located my great-grandmother on the census for St. George in the East, which states she was born in Mary Ann Street, Commercial Road. Her birthplace was given as Mary Ann Street on the 1911 census as well. Now pretty confident she's born in the East End of London. Okay, that makes sense to me based on this. So I'm now in the middle of checking births in that area. Still work in progress, but I definitely think this will fall at last. That's fabulous, Matthew. Good job. And excellent, right? It's so good to be able to compare what we're seeing in the 1921 census to other resources, right? Like the 1911 census or the 1939 register or military records. It's so good to be able to see all of that at one time. You know what? I don't know what is happening here today. I have just lost comments and I can't see Ellie anymore. Oh gosh, what is happening? Okay. I don't know, you guys. It's Friday and it shows that it's Friday. This is so bizarre. I'm really sorry. My screen is doing weird things.
Hey Jen, I'm going to hop in while you fix things.
Thank you, Ellie. I appreciate that. I think I fixed it, but I do appreciate that. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Yeah, feel free, Ellie. Do you have something to say? Say it.
How's it going, gang? Yeah, I just thought I'd do this rather than, Jen having to fix everything and you guys having to wait. Hope you're all well. I'm repping today. I'm wearing my Findmypast hoodie.
I like it.
Yeah. Oh, lots of people saying hi.
So my daughter snagged my Findmypast hoodie earlier this week. I know. But then she wore it to school and she's 12, right? And she got all these questions and comments at school about what is that sweatshirt? What are you wearing? What's Findmypast? And she was totally selling Findmypast for us at middle school. I was like, I don't think any of them are going to get a subscription. Maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe she'll turn somebody into a genealogist. I was like, you go, you do it. But she was totally, she did it right. She's like, they're, they have all these records from Britain and Ireland. And I was like, you know it. That's good, girl.
She knows it all already.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. All right. I think I'm fixed. So I appreciate that very much, Ellie.
No worries. Do you want me to stick around or shall I go back
I would
to
love for
replying
you to
to
stick
stuff?
around. No, I think that's great. Feel free to stick around. That's good. Let's go back.
I will for a bit, and then I probably should go back to answering questions because there's lots coming in.
Yeah. That's good. Okay, so let's see. Steve asked a good question, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen.
Yeah, go for it.
Will the 1921 census ever be made available on Ancestry.com? Well, we can't really answer that, Steve, because we don't work for Ancestry.com. Findmypast is the exclusive home of the 1921 census of England and Wales for the next 3 years. So online, the only place you will be able to find it is on Findmypast. And that is really the only way I can answer that question. But thank you for asking.
You can also view it in person at the National Archives at Kew, the Manchester Central Library and the National Library of Wales at Aberystwyth, in case you fancy having a day trip.
And I'm really glad you're on the call so that you could say that place in Wales and I didn't have to try to.
Well, this is the thing about Welsh. It's very rhythmical. It's quite nice. It's just when you've been doing it, when you've been speaking Welsh since you were, yay high, it just sort of rolls off the tongue. I definitely recommend learning Welsh. It's a fab language. It's
a very pretty language. I really like it. I like listening to you say it. Okay, Victoria's got some really good, a nice comment here too. I think the lives are wonderful. Thank you. It gives us the opportunity to learn from and share with you and vice versa. Plus, we know you tell... We tell you more of what you want. Got it. Sorry, that took me a second, Victoria. That's totally true. We love you guys and we love doing these. And it is a sincere pleasure. It's really fun to connect with other family historians. I love it.
Absolutely is. And speaking of which, we've got another year of these to come. If you want sessions on anything in particular, please do tell us and we will try our best to arrange them. So if you want one on workhouses, if you want one on divorce, if just
Hamilton the musical, for example.
If we can relate it back to family history, Jen, sure.
Of course it relates to family history. I'm sure it does.
So yeah, just tell us what you want and we will try our best to organize it.
Absolutely. Yeah. This question from Daphne, this is fantastic because this sounds like me. I love this. Not a discovery in the records, but I did discover a missing external hard drive from 10 years ago, which had lots of recordings I did of my relatives talking about family history. That's a really important hard drive to find, and I'm really, really glad that you found it. And that I totally would have done something like that too. I make those kind of discoveries all the time. Some of you know, if you've watched regularly, I just moved recently. And when I was unpacking and kind of setting up my office, I did find stuff that I was like, oh, that's where that went. I've been looking for this. So this is great. I love this, Daphne. This is great. So make sure you back it up now. And have a couple of different ways to access those recordings, because those are really precious. That's really, really incredible. Okay, here, let's try this one from Martin. My mother was born October 1921, so just missed the census. Well, I mean, you know, if her mom was enumerated, technically she was there because she was pregnant. That's how I think of the 1940 census. My dad had the same situation. My dad was born in June of 1940. And the census was done in April. So he was there in spirit, kind of, right?
That's really sweet.
Anyway, let's get back to Martin's comment. So mom missed the census, was not in the 1939 register, left for Canada December 1943, have not found a thing of her life in Croydon. Interesting.
Newspapers?
Yeah, I was going to say newspapers. Maybe it's difficult to document a child, right? If she was born in 21 and left in 43, so she left in her 20s, you know, she may or may not have entered the workforce during that period. It's definitely going to be tricky, especially if she hadn't married yet. Unfortunately, that is true of our female ancestors. Yeah, I would say newspapers, Martin, to see if you can get a sense of maybe what the family was up to, but maybe don't look for her specifically. Look for the family as a whole, or what was happening in that area where they were. Search from a topical point of view versus a name. What are school records? I don't know if I think the school records stopped before then, so I don't think that would apply.
They stopped in 1919.
Yeah, 1919, that's right. What else? From that period.
She wouldn't even appear on electoral registers either.
No, she'd be too young for that. Gosh. You're going to have to trace the parents and the siblings. Maybe try the siblings and the cousins, especially if she had any male siblings. That might be really helpful just to get an idea of what the family was up to in that period. Really, really hard to trace women, though, for sure. And the more modern you get, obviously, the harder it is, because the privacy of records, right? They don't have as many records out and available. Okay, let's see.
I should probably go back to answering questions.
Okay, but you did get some compliments on your hoodie. Thank you for joining us. It's very kind of you.
I'm still in the comments, guys, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm leaving Jen to do her work.
Okay, let's see. So, Karen says, I'm sure this is a response to our request about different sessions. Apprentices, please. And I would guess that is probably a request for records as well as a session on apprentices. So Ellie's got that on her list now. She gave me a thumbs up. We'll try and see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. So we've got a question about how do you view it? Do you just go to one of those libraries and they have it on a computer? So yeah, basically that's exactly. And the name here is iLukey96. I'm going to guess your name is Luke. So yeah, if you want to go to one of the 3 locations where the 1921 census is available, for free, you just go in, you go to one of their designated locations, and you actually access Findmypast on one of their computers. So they're still using the Findmypast interface. You just don't have to pay the fees for it. Sally would like a session on everything Isle of Wight. We'll try to get to that too, Sally. Thanks for that. Let's see. Beth says, still looking for a potential great uncle of mine. Can't find it in Canadian or UK records, hoping to find it in the US. Give us a little bit more information, Beth. Maybe the community can help you out there, or post it on the Findmypast forum. Perhaps there's some ideas that could be shared there. Oh, this is a great idea. I like this, Kim. I've made myself a genealogy finds wish list. Goals that I want to have achieved by the end of 2022. That's a great idea. So it's kind of like a research plan almost, but a snippet of that. It's like highlighting your wins for the year. I love that idea. That's really, really good. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. We're going back to the Royal School for the Blind. I like the follow-up comments. Bev, thanks for this. She has used the advanced search to find the school, and she can see all those staying there now, but unfortunately cannot see her grandmother, which is a bit of a mystery. So the search continues. She's hiding somewhere. I'm sure she is. She was in the workhouse on the 1911, and so she and her siblings will have all left at different times, so they're not together in 1921. Okay, she's been elusive, but that's been the pattern. Yeah. So Bev, I would continue to reiterate the use of that wildcard search. Use it, try just her first name, just her surname, maybe even just female and a birth year, if you have that information. And really take advantage of all of those fields on that advanced search. It looks like you're doing this while we're chatting, so that's great. And you may already be there and beating me to that, of course. But really, you guys, this is the most. There really wasn't any information that we left out of the index in the 1921 census. It is the most complete, comprehensive index I think we've ever built. So the search capabilities are really, really powerful. I mean, there's just thousands of ways to potentially search the census. So take advantage of those. Those options are really, really good. Okay, let's see. People want hoodies and mugs. Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's see. So this looks like an interesting comment. Let's see what Dawn has to say today. All the elusive females, right? Great-grandmother, Alice Dixon Rayner, who avoided every census, said first she was born in Newcastle upon Tyne, then said Leeds, and in 1921 said Jarrow, Durham. Well, that's interesting. There are baptisms for Alice Dixon in Gateshead and in Newcastle during that period, 1856 to 1857. One day I'll find her marriage to Thomas Rayner. Yeah. You know what? Sometimes it's just luck of the draw, right? I actually don't like saying that genealogy comes down to luck, but sometimes it does feel that way, right? There's always the opportunity to go, if you can, to go into archives offsite. And I know you've heard us say this before, but learn everything you can about her family, her father, her mother, all the different branches of the family, the husband's family as well. Really do a comprehensive search, right? It's all about that reasonably exhaustive research process that we talk about in genealogy methodology. That is always a mouthful, genealogy methodology. But that reasonably exhaustive research process really can open up some new clues and new doors for you. So we hope the best of luck for you. Absolutely keep us posted, Dawn, on how that progresses and if you have any more luck. Okay, let's see. Oh, another update from Bev. I love this. I have found her at the Royal School for the Blind. Yes, that is exciting. Her surname was difficult to read and has been mistranscribed. Thank you, Bev, for following up with us. That's amazing. We had this whole dialogue on the live broadcast today. I love that. So excited. We're excited for you. Please do make sure that you send in the transcription correction. And I'll ask that of everybody. If you find a transcription error, please do send it in to us. We're going to be making updates and corrections on the 1921 census transcription for the next couple of months. And we've been really, really looking at those corrections that you guys are all sending in. So please do send them. They're very valuable to us, and they do help everybody. Keep in mind, though, that we transcribe as it's written. So if you know the last name is Johnson, but it's spelled Johnson's with an S at the end, we're going to keep that S because that's what it says on the original document. So do keep that in mind. As you progress through those transcription corrections. We do key it as we see it. That's kind of the phrase that we use. That is just so good. I'm all smiles for you. Okay, Lon has a great question. How can you do a 1921 general census search without paying an extra fee to open up the record on top of the subscription? Want to make sure it's the right family before I purchase, but could end up very costly. Yeah, so searching the 1921 census is actually free. You do not need a subscription to search the 1921 census. You need a free account on Findmypast. You just need to register with us. And then you can search at your leisure. And that also makes it available for you to purchase the images or the transcriptions without a subscription, right? It's one of the reasons that we did it that way. We wanted to make the census accessible to everyone. So if you're a family historian, if you're a historian, or if you're just some person who saw something in the news last week about the census release and you want to look up your grandmother, you can do that, right? It also makes it handy for people in other countries to utilize the census, right? Because they may not be able to take out a subscription to Findmypast. Maybe they don't need British military records, but they need the 1921 census. So you can search for free. You just need that free account. When you find someone you're interested in, if you kind of click on the transcription button or the image button, a little drawer will open up to the right side of the screen, and that's where you actually make your purchase. But at the top, there's text about the family. So it'll show you who else is in the household, and that should assist you in determining if you have the right person or not. So take advantage of some of those features that are in that little pop-out drawer that asks you for your credit card information. It's at the top of that. Okay, let's see. Diane says, I don't have many people on the 1921 census. I'm tracing distant cousins. I just want to find someone. Most of my English ancestors moved to Scotland. Can't fault them for that. Okay. Yeah, Diane, I think that's that definitely made me chuckle. I don't have anyone in the 1921 census either, so I totally get it. And tracing distant cousins can actually lead you to some really great breakthroughs in your family history, depending on where your brick walls are at and where your struggles are at in your research. So wish you the best of luck, Diane. I'm sure there's someone here on the chat that if you want to just borrow one of their ancestors just to see it, that would be okay. I think that's not the point, though. Yeah. Miko has to comment, right? Everyone needs British military records. I can't think of anyone who hasn't got an ancestor who wasn't either serving in or shot at by the British. I mean, you got a point. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think that's legit. Although all of my military ancestors were, well, no, I can't actually say that. At least for the records we have the most of, my ancestors were allies, not being shot at. Right. Always a good time. Okay. Let's see. Dawn commenting about luck. Certainly does need some luck. I know loads about her life, but finding her marriage and birth has just been difficult, as we discussed earlier. Have, however, just sent for a likely death certificate. Okay, fantastic. Good luck, Dawn. Let us know how that goes. Come back onto the chat maybe next Friday and follow up with us. Couple of questions about transcription errors. Let me see if we've got this. We do. So if you're looking at an image of the 1921 census, we would ask you to send transcription errors to transcriptsupport@findmypast.com. If you are looking at the transcription on the census, there is a button at the top that says report an error, and we would ask you to use that feature. They both go to the same place. They both get pulled into the same process. But while we work on a fix for the image viewer part, we're going to ask you to send an email to this email address that's on the screen and let us know those transcription errors. And we appreciate that that's not maybe the easiest thing in the world to do, but we do appreciate those reports being sent in very much. And while we're on the topic of email, let me put one more on the screen. We would love to know your stories, and we would love to hear how you're progressing. So if you find something amazing, whether it's about the 1921 census or anything else in your family tree, we would love to share those stories with the community and be able to help you tell those stories. So if you're interested in working with us on that angle, send those stories to discoveries@findmypast.com. And actually, I'm pretty sure that inbox goes to Ellie herself. So she will reach out to you and talk you through that process. And we really just love sharing your discoveries. We really, really do. I mean, honestly, we highlight this internally and externally. And it really just, I don't know. A lot of us work really, really hard to bring these records online for you. And some of us do our own family history research and some of us don't, but but there is a sense of real accomplishment, right? And as a company, one of our values is honoring history, and one of the reasons that we use that as a value is because we know that it's important. We know it's part of your personal life, but it's also kind of a legacy for us, right? We're doing something that's really substantial, and it's very important to us. So really, please do share those stories with us. We love hearing them. Okay. There was a question from Dawn about putting this in the heading, please. Not helpful. Dawn, if you could let us know what you're referring to, or if it's in a thread, that's fine, so Ellie can find it. But do try to be specific. And we've just got a couple more minutes. Okay, Lon has a question, and I saw somebody else say that they have the same question. So I'm going to put this up. Some of the records are blanked off, closed still, even though they were born in 1900. How come they're not open yet? They say it's because people may still be alive. I have to assume, Lon, that you're talking about the 1939 register. To my knowledge, it's the only collection we have that has any redacted entries on the site. And that is for privacy reasons. The 1939 register was a living document all the way up until recent years, actually. And so contractually, we did have to restrict some of those entries with the National Archives guidance. So when you're on the 1939 register, if you scroll down on the page, there's information underneath the search boxes that tell you how to request an opening of a record. We would ask that you read through that content and follow the process if you believe that someone has passed away and their record should be open, or if they've reached that 100-year mark. Okay, another quick question I want to address because I think it's interesting. Samantha wants to know if there's any help or tips you could give on finding people born in Russia. So Samantha, I'm not sure if you're asking specifically about the 1921 census, because there's a lot of Russian immigrants in the census, or if you're just talking about Russia in general. If it's the first, the 1921 census, you can filter by their location of birth. So go to the country of birth field on the advanced search page and click, either type in or click Russia as a selection. There is a huge population of Russian refugees in the 1921 census, and they were all enumerated. So that is one opportunity for research in Russia. There are a couple of other great resources for Russian research. Family Search has some materials available on their website. And then there is, I'm not going to get the name of the organization absolutely correct, but the International Jewish Genealogical Society has some really, really wonderful resources on searching in Russia. They don't just apply to Jewish communities, they apply to everybody. I've used that site myself to track some Lutheran families that immigrated out of Russia. So take advantage of that. And then also the Family Search Wiki is a wonderful resource for learning about a new area of research. So go to the Family Search Wiki and read all about how to access materials from Russia. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Right, with that, Jewish Jen, that's right, Vivian, thank you very much. And again, that's still kind of a bit of an acronym. Their official title is something quite lengthy, but if you Google them, International Jewish Genealogical Society, they should pop up for you. Oh, and Samantha responded they are in fact Jewish. So yeah, that's a really, really great resource for you. That organization is fabulous. And as a family history society, it's extremely well done. They're very thorough and they are international in scope. So absolutely take a look at them. And general shout out for all family history societies everywhere because they are incredible. All right. I think that about gets us to the end, and we are officially out of time. Of course, we have one more question that I have to put on the screen. We started with this. We're going to finish with it. Vivian wants to know, it's a little model of Hamilton on the bookcase behind me. They are from Hamilton, Vivian. Good spot. One is George Washington. The other one is Aaron Burr. And I'm really excited that now 2 people in this hour have asked me about them. They were Christmas presents from my daughter. Yes. So fabulous. Thank you all so much for joining us one more time. Take a look at those 1921 census official reports. Don't forget to look at those. They're really, really helpful. We published those today. Hope everyone has a fabulous weekend. Good luck again with your research over the weekend. I know what I'm going to be doing this weekend for sure, besides family activities. Matthew wants to rename it the Hamilton Hour. I am all for that, Matthew. That makes me chuckle. Thank you all so much. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your research. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you next week.